Hey you guys, welcome back. In today's tutorial, I have another epoxy resin DIY for you. Last video we made coasters. This video we are going to make a coffin. I came across this really cool coffin silicone mold and I have not tried it out yet, so let's hope that this is not a fail. I want to decorate this with an image on top of the lid. It comes in two pieces. You pour some resin into this part, which is the lid, and then you pour resin into this part, which is the coffin itself. I would like to add an image right here to the top. So what I'm going to do, I have not tested this out, so let's hope for the sake of this video that it works so that I did not waste my time. But my plan is to trace the coffin on this piece of paper, take a photo of it with my phone, email it to myself, and then use it to create the coffin shape in Design Space so that I can slice an image in the coffin shape. In my head, this all makes sense and it's going to work perfectly, but let's see if that's the case. So I'm going to go ahead and trace my coffin mold to get the shape because I cannot find a pre-made shape that matches this exact coffin. So we're going to trace it, email it, upload it, clean it up, and then choose our image that we're going to slice into this shape. Okay, I have my Design Space open and I went to upload and browse photos. Here is the picture that I took and emailed to myself of the coffin shape. I'm going to click it, click simple, and now I'm going to clean it up. I want to take out the background. To make it easier, I'm going to crop it. Zoom out once again and select the rest of this right here. We only want this shape. We're going to use that to slice. So try to clean up as much as we can. We can hit preview to see what we've missed. Over here. Okay, now we're just going to hit continue and save as cut image. I've already saved this, so I'm just going to back out now and go back to my canvas. That was just to show you guys how to do it. I had to make sure it was going to work before I recorded. So here we go, and here we go. So now we are going to, I need to zoom out. My MacBook screen is always so weird compared to my desktop. So I already did the measurements that I needed. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and open my pre-made project to make this a little bit easier. This is already the size that I need. I measured my piece of paper to see the sizing so that I knew how to make it, what size to make it on my screen. I've already sliced this, but I will show you real quick how I did it, just in case you're not familiar with the slice tool. We need to make this smaller. Like so. Then we place the coffin on top so that we know what part of the image we're getting. You select both and hit slice. We delete the excess like so. And now we have our image that we can use to decorate the coffin. So the coffin shape right here, I would like to keep because I'm going to need it. I was thinking of just printing it on cardstock, but if I place cardstock into epoxy, the ink may smear, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is use Craftable's Inkjet Printable, print it. It's a sticker paper. I'm also going to cut the shape on white cardstock. I'm going to, I guess it doesn't matter what color cardstock. I'm going to add the image on the sticker paper to the cardstock so that it's sturdy, and then I will explain how I plan on adding it to the coffin lid. Hopefully this works. We shall see. So I'm going to go ahead and hit make it and get this cut, and then I will be back to show you what to do next. Okay, I already cut my cardstock and my inkjet printable vinyl. I've already weeded off the excess. So here is the Pennywise image, and here is the piece of cardstock. My suggestion, it cut a little bit jagged around the shape. So my suggestion would be, when you are tracing the coffin mold, maybe use a marker so that you have a thicker line so that it cuts more smooth. I'm pretty sure this will work. Well, you know what? Let's make sure it fits. Yeah, it'll fit perfect. So this, we'll see if this works. What I plan on doing, if you watch my video on the coasters, I added some epoxy resin with nothing in it just to the base of the coaster so that I could add ink to it. I'm going to use the same concept. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to lay a layer of resin with nothing in it just on the bottom, just slightly on the bottom. And then after it hardens a little, I'm going to add the cardstock, which will have the Pennywise image on it, face down into the resin. And then I'm going to add another layer just to seal it in, so that this way, when you look at the lid, you'll see the Pennywise image. I can use water slide. I don't know if you guys are familiar with water slide paper. I can use water slide and place it on here instead of having to add cardstock and all that. But I really like the way the Inkjet Printable looks under epoxy. The images just come out a lot more vibrant than what I get with my clear water slide. So we're going to attempt this and see if this works. I am going to be using all of the same supplies that I used in the last video. Let me just move this out of the way. I have the same glitters, the chunky glitters from Recollections, which I purchased at Michael's. I have the same epoxy. The coasters took a lot of it. These were full bottles when I did the coasters. Now they're both to the bottom. I believe it should be enough for both the coffin and the lid. So we have this that we're going to use. And then we have the holographic glitter, once again, which I purchased on Amazon. And we're going to use, which is still dirty from the last video, the silicone stirrer, and then a popsicle stick to stir as well. So I already have my gloves on. I'm also going to be using a torch and this mug warmer. This is what I do to try and avoid getting air bubbles in my epoxy. If you guys would like to see a video on tips and tricks or just how I prepare my epoxy, let me know and I can record one. I try and fast forward through all this as much as I can to avoid the video being too long. Now we are going to pour this just on the base. All we want is a very thin layer to be able to place the picture on top of. Okay, so what I'm noticing is that when I place the cardstock into the mold, it hits, I'll do a close-up later so that you can see what line you're going to want to fill it to, but it hits a line above the one that I have it at now. So I'm going to go ahead and mix more epoxy, pour it in, hit it with the heat gun, and we are going to let this cure for a couple of hours. I don't want it to still be soft when I add in the photo. I want it to have been cured for a little bit. So we're gonna let it cure, and then I will be back to show you how I plan on adding the image and then sealing it in with another layer of epoxy to keep everything together. Okay, you guys, now we are going to place the decal onto the cardstock. Now, if you're wondering why I'm even going to place it on the cardstock, it's because, like I said, I really wanted to use the Inkjet Printable because I like the way it looks under the epoxy. It makes the colors very, very vibrant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it onto the cardstock so that it has some type of support. If I were to just place it like this now and this part's sticky, it wouldn't work, I don't think, in my opinion. Like I said, I could have used water slides where I would have just had to mirror the image and then placed it on to the epoxy, but I don't get the same vibrancy in the ink that I do with the Inkjet Printable. So I'm going to place it onto the cardstock and try to align it as best as I can. Which might be a little difficult to get it exact. There is some excess that I'm just going to trim. If I can find my scissors. And they're on the floor. Okay. So, I don't know if you guys could see this. There's some excess where it didn't line up, so I am just going to trim it down to fit the cardstock. And that's from me not lining it up correctly. Both the decal and the cardstock are the same size because I cut them that way in Design Space, so this is my error. Okay. Also, what I was thinking about a while ago was, since the cardstock is white, I'm afraid that you might be able to see it on the edges, the white part of it. So what I'm gonna do is go over the edges with the black marker so that you don't see the cardstock at all from the side view of the lid, if that makes sense. I don't know if that would actually be a problem, but I'm just trying to think of everything possible that could go wrong. So now I'm just going to take this black marker. This is one of my kids' markers. And I'm just going to hit the edge all the way around of the decal so that you can't see any white from the cardstock, just in case you might be able to see it on the lid when the lid's done. Okay, so now that we have this on the cardstock and there's some texture to it, I'm going to put on my gloves so that I can avoid getting any epoxy on my hands when I press the cardstock with the photo into the mold. It's been curing for a little bit. I didn't let it cure for the 2 hours like I had planned. I was afraid if I let it get too hard, then the epoxy isn't going to give the decal the vibrancy that I'm used to seeing when it goes on wet. So we're going to do this now. We're just going to place it face down. I mean, it looks pretty cool right now, so let's hope that when it's cured, it still looks pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix up some more epoxy and I'm going to add black glitter to it, just like I did the base. And then I'm gonna pour it on top until I get to the top line. So basically fill it to the top without overflowing. And then we will let it cure overnight, and tomorrow in the morning I will demold both and we will see if this is a fail or if the crazy idea that I had in my head that I visualized was actually a success. So stay tuned so that we could both be surprised. Okay guys, it's the following day. I let these cure overnight and now we are going to take them out of the mold so that we can see if it worked. Okay, now this is the one I'm nervous about. Let's hope it doesn't look horrible. Okay, that looks pretty cool.